And hello and welcome to the first round of the Community Super League. That video was
I
ridiculous.
love it.
By the way, I'm literally carrying a huge log on my shoulder. I mean, I don't know, maybe I got a little work to do before I can pick those up. I'm Marshall Sutcliffe, and I've got Aaron Campbell from the Girlfriend Bracket with me, and we're going to be bringing you coverage here of the very first round of 5 tonight on the Community Super League. We've got TMS Wedge versus the Professor. Aaron, who will win?
I'm rooting for the professor. I also teach at Tolarian Academy. I am the headmistress of Wedge. And so the professor and I work closely together. And so I'm rooting for him, and I think he's going to take this.
So I've got Wedge is what you're saying.
Pretty much.
All right, go green, red ramp as, oh no, he just mulliganed to 5. It looks
I might be inclined to keep
Is it too late to switch, or?
I mean, he can play the Oath of Nissa, possibly dig himself out of it, at least, by time. I mean, the professor doesn't look like he's doing anything terribly aggressive. So.
No, you're right. He's not. Taking a look at the hands down there. So as you can see, for those of you who are relatively new to the stream and checking things out on Magic Online, we've actually got their hands. You can see their hand. That's the hand cam down there. And oh, it looks like a few extra cards there for Wedge. Maybe we're off screen or something. So that's good. He's it looks like he's on. Oh no, he was on 5. Sorry. Yeah, this is just his draw set for the turn. Anyway, you can keep track of that. On the left-hand side, you'll see the life totals there are the 20 and 20, and then in between is the game score. If their graveyards become relevant, you can see those also on the left-hand side as well. Again, we're playing the what do we call it? The Pro Tour Gauntlet here on Magic Online. If you play it at home, you're going to have a deck randomly assigned to you. We did draft these decks, so we had some agency over which deck we were playing. But as you can see, a pretty slow start here from both players. That's pretty expected from TMS Wedge, but not so much from the Professor. He's off to a little bit of a slow start here with no 2-drop.
But Wedge is looking good, though. He's got a forest. He can use Oath of Nissa to find his 3rd land, which he can use into Pilgrimage. And I mean, he could go into Endless One. I think he's going to be okay for now.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I think that the Endless One probably will be reasonable as a blocker. Right now, the big game plan, if you're looking at the Professor's hand, is he's going to run out of Bounding Crisis, which is fine. It might get in for some damage or whatever. But what he really wants to do is hit that 4th land. You can see he's got 2 islands in his hand, so he's going to do that. And then run back-to-back Collected Companies. That's brutal. Like, yeah. Wedge is going to really have his hands full after the Professor runs out all those Collected Companies. And you can see he's just going to pass a turn here, and then he can go for an end-step Bounding Crisis. Though, I think you're right, Aaron. I think that it doesn't really matter anyway, because Wedge is probably just going to play Pilgrimage.
Yeah. So he's going to go into Pilgrimage. I do think the Endless One is a great idea. He's probably going to need that Nissa's Renewal, though. If the Professor gets off his multiple Collected Companies, he's going to need that 7 life.
I know. What is that going to buy him? Like 1 turn? Like this? If the Professor hits well with his Collected Companies, this is going to get ugly. Like, yeah. It's going to be really tough for Wedge to come back from that, because there are even scenarios where Wedge can resolve something huge like the Ulamog in his hand, and it's still not good enough, which is kind of absurd. You're supposed to win when you play Ulamog, right?
Well, I mean, even the Endless One isn't guaranteed. A Reflector Mage is a very scary card, and if you're putting all of your eggs in that Endless One's basket, the Reflector Mage can come down, bounce it, and it hurts more when Ramp gets set back a turn like that.
Yeah, because they're putting, exactly like you said, they're putting all their eggs in one basket. I mean, the kind of cool part about Endless One is that it's probably a little bigger next time it comes down, so at least you get that, but... All right, and it looks like we're going for main phase Collected Company from the Professor here.
Hello.
I don't know why. But I mean,
at this point, why not?
I think why not is probably a reasonable answer. I can think of a few, though I don't know the green-red ramp deck from Wedge inside and out. So, this is, I don't think he's running, what's it called? The... Kozilek's Return? Yeah, I don't think he's running that. So this is probably pretty safe. Wow. 2 Tireless Trackers for the Professor.
Yikes.
I kind of like your choice, Aaron. I think you you might be moving towards a game 1 victory. You guys can take a look at Tireless Tracker. Card looks so like innocuous. Kind of okay, right? But now, like after having played with it, in Limited it's absurd, but even in Constructed, I played this quite a bit when I was prepping to do coverage of the Pro Tour, and I was playing a bunch of matches with the deck that the Professor is playing, and I was really impressed by Tireless Tracker. Oh, this is interesting.
Couple Endless Ones.
He's ran out 2 Endless Ones. I like that. Oh my God,
Look at
look
all
at all
those
that value.
clues.
Oh, I don't
Oh.
know if I can watch this here. This is just,
I mean, I can because I'm on the winning
I
team,
know,
but
that's why I can't watch. He's just spewing value. Look at the clues
Mm.
just littering the tabletop here.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. 2 more clues incoming. He's got 4 of them now. Oh man, the professor teaching lessons here.
Right. Someone's getting schooled.
No kidding. Now I don't, let's see, crack 2 of them. Wow, it's interesting. He actually does have clean attacks here too. He could attack
Yeah.
with one of the tireless trackers, or even both, and decide how he wants to approach the game going forward. But I think that it's actually correct for him to just attack with all of them.
Yeah, there's
He-
really nothing holding him back.
No, the only his worst case is that he loses 1 tireless tracker in a trade. He gets in for at least 3 damage, and he eats one of the endless ones with his other creature. I mean, it's not good if you're looking at the other side, and that's just from cracking clues. Like that doesn't even include the Dromica's command that Wedge looks like he may be firing off here in the main. But yeah, I think I like just sending in the team and just making Wedge decide how he wants to block. But it looks like Professor is going to be even more aggressive here and fight with Dromica's command on the bigger of the endless ones. And now he's just going to get to jam for a ton of damage here too. Either way, he's looking to be in a good spot. In fact, wow, this is actually just much better. Look at what no, wait, that thing fought, right? All right, well, so he has to leave back his Bounding Crisis unless he wants to trade it off. But in the meantime, take 8.
Yeah, I mean, he's doing what you should be doing in this situation. You have to apply pressure to the ramp deck because if you don't, the ramp deck will just ignore you and do its thing. That's what I do. Like when I'm playing ramp, I don't see you, I don't hear you. When I have 8 lands and I want you, we'll play. But until then, I don't even see you. And the professor's saying, you need to deal with me. You need to notice me. And that's what's happening right now.
I know, I'm going to try to ignore the girlfriend bracket while I'm ramping stuff up.
It'll work. It'll work.
You guys are not going to cooperate with that.
Okay, so there's 7 life.
Yeah, this is going to buy him a turn. Literally less than 1 turn of damage he's buying himself here.
I believe he gets lands from the renewal too.
Yeah, he gets 3.
Yeah. So that puts him at 9. 10, he can get an Ulamog out.
Yeah, he can.
If he can live.
Yeah, and he will. He'll survive this turn. So Ulamog comes down, takes out both tireless trackers, and then he'll only be facing down a Sylvan Advocate and a Collected Company. Interesting. Wedge is going to attack for 10, 12. Wow, he can actually get him to 2 here.
Ugh.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
2 tireless trackers is just insane.
Yeah, he's only the professor's only cast 1 Coco, which is not bad. This is all from 1 Coco.
Mm-hmm. And this is really interesting because what the professor is doing is applying maximum pressure, but also setting himself to get blown out by an Ulamog here. Mm-hmm. The interesting thing is, what he should really do here is play Sylvan Advocate. Then he can say go. If Wedge plays an Ulamog and exiles both of the trackers, he still has a lethal Advocate, and he can play Collected Company to try to find a Reflector Mage and win the game on the spot. And it looks like that's the line that the professor's decided to take here. I like it. He's got 3 lethal threats. So right now he's saying, okay, Wedge, show me Ulamog. Like, first off, you got to have Ulamog. If you don't have that, this game's just over. And as it turns out, Wedge does have Ulamog. So Wedge is going to get to fire off the big boy here. Here we go. This is what the ramp deck wants to be doing.
Hello. Let's see what he chooses.
Okay. Yeah,
and they usually say it's the first Ulamog. The first Ulamog's not usually the big deal. It's the second and third that kind of put the nail in the coffin.
Yeah, and he just doesn't have a way to find those other ones. Yeah. Wedge doesn't.
Yeah. Most decks can survive the first one. It's not something you want to be doing, but you can move past it. But when they start chaining them, like when they sacrifice Sanctum, then your morale starts to go down.
That was a smart play by Wedge, by the way. He got rid of the Sylvan Advocate because I think he noticed that there's the possibility for the Lumbering Falls to come in and kill him there.
Yeah.
If he left up the Sylvan Advocate, then the Lumbering Falls, as you can see, could get activated, and it would be a 5/5, and it would actually kill Wedge. So really smart play by Wedge there. It's tempting just to kill the biggest creature, but instead he didn't He
Yeah.
killed a slightly smaller creature, which was a good deal. This leaves him the possibility of being at 1. But here's the big moment. Can the professor hit a reflector mage? No, he didn't hit one.
But to be fair, though, the professor could literally just cast 2 creatures. Like, he could cast the advocate, cast the recruiter, and probably still run away with this. Like, he needs to put in very minimal effort at this point.
That is true. I mean, but the key is that Wedge could be dead, right? Like, if he didn't, if he had played slightly differently, he was just dead.
Yeah.
Now at least he's giving himself a shot. But I kind of agree with you, Aaron. I think that even given the shot that he gave himself, he's got a top deck Chandra. That is not good enough. Wow. Somehow the professor has 2 5 toughness creatures.
And Chandra can only do 4 at the most.
Yeah. Can he get rid of the forest and draw a card and still have enough mana to actually do anything? I would guess not.
This isn't looking good. If that Chandra was a little sooner, like if he played the Chandra just a couple turns before, that could have maybe been a big deal.
Yeah, totally. If he would have gone Chandra setting up Ulamog, I think he would have been fine because he would have had a bigger life total and set back the professor. But well, it looks like he's going to try it.
Ooh.
Maybe he's trying to trick the professor into attacking Chandra. Is that?
If things were going better, I would almost suggest that maybe he's trying to use the 0 ability. Like maybe he wants to dump the forest and maybe draw 2 good cards, but he doesn't have enough mana to really cast Chandra. And even if he were to draw some gas, he can't afford to really cast them.
Exactly. Yeah, it also looks like Wedge is hung up a little bit. He tapped that shrine. He actually can't tap that for 2 mana to cast Chandra. He can only tap it for 1.
But to be fair, Oath of Nissa does make casting Planeswalkers
He's
a
also
little
got
more
a tap
smoother.
2 red. Yeah, I guess maybe he just didn't. Oh, he did it. Okay, sweet. Yeah, I know. The thing is, I think it's a little weird on Magic Online. So he was like having a hard time tapping his lands the right way, but he did it. Yeah. So Chandra's here. Yeah, you were right, Aaron. He's going for it. Let's see if he can find anything. There's nothing though, right?
Well, he'll get 2 cards. He'll discard the forest and draw.
Well,
Jotty Offshoot, I mean, it's a blocker, but when you're facing, 1 can still get through. Like, Ulamog could block something, which you really don't want Ulamog on defense.
And there's still the Lumbering Falls, too.
Yeah, so this may not help.
That is going to be GG here, I think.
Yeah.
Come on, Wedge.
Opening with a Jotty Offshoot is pretty glorious. Like, if you've ever had a turn 1 Jotty Offshoot, it feels pretty good.
Yes, I have. I'm ashamed to say I have, in fact, had a turn 1 Jotty Offshoot. Oh, man. Duskwatch Recruiter. This is Professor just rubbing the value in at this point, too.
Oh, yeah.
What a monster.
Yeah. And like I said, he's not even really cocoing. He's just playing value creatures. I mean, the cocos, I would argue the cocos, they're helpful, but the deck doesn't even really need to be doing that. It just starts playing really value creatures, annoying creatures, and...
Yeah, he's just showing off. He just wants to game with 7 cards in hand.
He's playing to the bread and circuses, as they say.
Put him away, Professor. He's had enough.
That's how we do it, Tolarian College,
My goodness.
He has to make
now
sure
he's counting the cards in his hand. Wow. I've met the professor, and I'm like, he's a nice guy. I might have been wrong about that. This guy's a monster.
That's why I like
now
him.
He's found it in his heart to attack with everything and kill poor Wedge here. Oh, you know what? He actually didn't activate the Lumbering Falls there.
Oh, no.
That means that at least as the board sits, Wedge gets to survive. Though I think that Archangel Avacyn is going to just save the team anyway. But this is a misstep from the professor. Yeah. He could have activated and attacked with everything, and I don't think there's a card. I mean, maybe there's one I'm forgetting, but I think he just, could have won on the spot and said he's going for kind of the style points, the super Innistrad style points here. And to be fair, he probably will still win the game, but
oh yeah,
he has opened up the door here, like another Chandra off the top. Oh, that would have been insane.
Yeah, everything Wedge is drawing would have been good 2 or 3 turns ago. The Sanctum would have been great when he had Ulamog. Chandra would have been great before the Ulamog. It's just, the Jotty Offshoot would have been better much earlier. Everything's just coming out too late. And this is one of the downsides of the ramp deck is sometimes you just draw the wrong side.
Wait a minute now. Hold on a second. That's 10 life he gains. right?
7 from the renewal. He'll gain
3
3 from the
triggers.
Jati offshoots. Yeah.
Wait just a second. Now,
Look
is
at
Wedge actually
this.
coming back here, Aaron? Or wait, are you getting nervous, Aaron? Are you?
I'll believe it when I see it.
I'll
But
tell you what, this kid's playing with fire.
yeah, he's definitely not taking
Professor.
this laying down.
No.
He's making us work for it, which is good. Okay. Oh.
He is currently very much alive.
Oh. Bless his heart.
Oh man, we got a real game here all of a sudden.
Wow.
This is insane.
Part of me would have wanted to attack with Ulamog. I have to say, I would have probably risked it, but I'd probably be dead.
Let's see. He takes 4 in the air, goes down to 6. Chump blocks that. Blocks that.
Ugh.
No, you know what, Aaron? I think you may be correct because the next attack is lethal, right?
Yeah.
You turn Ulamog sideways one time here, and you've got your opponent on a 1-turn clock after that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, now this is interesting. Dromica's command. That still might get the job done. Oh, it looks like the professor is still just drawing cards, though.
Is that 6 counters on the tracker?
Yes, yes, it is.
My God, you leave it alone for 1 minute and it's a 9/8?
Yeah. Oh my God.
I wasn't even looking at it. My eyes were literally everywhere else on the board, and I turned and I was like, "What? Is that a 6?" Professor, you have 9 cards. You can stop drawing.
I'm starting to actually worry that the professor might be addicted.
I'm worried he's kind of drunk with power. He's just like, I want more cards.
Clues, and he's just like, I know I've got 8 cards in my hand, but what might this clue give me? This could be the one that cracks the case, and he just keeps doing it.
Yikes.
All right,
And
it looks
Wedge
like
is just kill me.
the Dromica's command should be good here. All right.
Okay.
You know what I really feel bad for right now, Aaron? The lumbering falls. The lumbering falls is like, put me in, coach. I've been here the whole time. You
especially with that Sylvan Advocate out there. It's so tempting.
Yeah, 5. I mean, the lethal lumbering falls.
And blocking with an Ulamog always feels so sad. Like you never want to. It just makes you feel bad.
Oh, it's great.
No, I mean if you have to do it, but like when you play Ulamog, you're playing it hoping that it's going to mean game over. Like you're not. Yeah.
That's a good point. All right, and that is game finally here as Archangel Avacyn is going to do the final 3 to Wedge. And that is, unless the professor decides that Chandra is having of the 4 loyalty life. No, he's decided just to kill Wedge. All right. So game 1 goes to the professor. Aaron, let's take a look at how the players sideboard, and maybe you can walk us through what you're seeing here out of the sideboards from these two. It sounds like you've played this ramp deck quite a bit.
Yeah, I play a very different version, though. I play a very, what I call a lean version. I play with Traverse the Oven Wild. Like I said, when I'm playing a ramp deck, I want to do nothing but ramp, so I'm not really bothering with other spells. Spatial Contortion could be fun. Tireless Tracker, his own Tireless Tracker could be good on defense. World Breaker is not stellar here, but it's a big body at the very least. It does block Avacyn. Dragon Lord Atarka, I think, is fine here.
I think Dragon Lord Atarka seems quite good, right?
Yeah, I do. The Causal X returns are not bad. They may not do much on the first pass, but when they get in the graveyard, if you can follow that up with the World Breaker, the 5 damage is sure to do some damage to the professor's board.
Yeah, I agree. For what's ultimately a 2 and 3 mana creature deck, it dodges the first half of Kozilek's return quite nicely. There's a lot of 3 toughness cards, but like you said, if you get to, we call it flashing it back. I don't know what the correct term is for that, but yeah, you cast your Ulamog or whatever, and then boom, you get to just do 5 damage to all the creatures. And that actually is enough. Like you could use that last game as an example. The only creatures that the professor had that were bigger were those tireless trackers, and everything else would just die. So
yeah, this is definitely, like I said, we were talking about how ramp doesn't really want to interact in game 1. Game 2, and if game 3 even happens, like I said, Wedge is gonna have to interact. He can't just ignore the professor, and the cards that he's going to bring in are going to allow him to do that, where he's going to have blockers. He's going to have to charge in there, and hopefully he finds the cards that can do that. He can't just ignore him.
Now on the other side, it looks like the professor's sideboard is pretty impressive here. He's got all basic lands in there. That must not
Yeah.
be his actual board. I like bringing in the beta islands though. That's smart.
Yeah, the beta islands aren't bad. Surrock might allow him to be a little more aggressive, to really kind of just charge out there. It's not hard for him to have 8 power to have Ferocious active. I can see if there is there negate in the board. I think it's negate.
Yes.
Okay,
He's got
negate is
3
definitely good
copies
against
of
the
Negate.
ramp spells,
Mm-hmm.
keeping ramp off what it does. And I think the professor needs to do very little with his sideboard here. Maybe Declaration in Stone to deal with the World Breakers, and because the Eldrazi decks tend to run a lot of the same creatures. Like it's typically like 3 Atarka or 2 Atarka and 4 World Breaker. So naming one of those creatures can really set them back because they don't have any other threats.
Oh, should be interesting to see. I agree. I think that this format or this matchup certainly favors the professor, at least in the early games.
Yeah.
All right, so we're ready for game number 2 here between our YouTube death match here between Wedge and the professor.
This isn't a bad hand.
Which one are you looking at? The down below or the up above?
I was looking at Wedges. Is there a 7th card? I don't see it. Okay. So
there is. It's a Sanctum of Ugin, apparently.
Okay, that's not bad. So he can do a turn or turn 2. He can use Evolving Wilds to get a forest. Turn 2 Oath of Nissa. Smooth out his draw a little bit. He's on his way to veggies, which is fine. Spatial Contortion, an early creature. I'd keep
veggies.
We call it veggies.
I like that. Yeah, and then the Spatial Contortion can kill whatever the first play is. This seems like a really good hand to me.
Fine hand.
Yeah, he'll probably have to take a turn off because I think the first play is going to be a Duskwatch Recruiter from the professor, and Wedge is definitely going to want to take a turn to Spatial Contortion that.
Yeah.
Or likely going to want to do that, especially because the only thing he misses out on is just playing an Oath of Nissa, so it's not a huge deal.
Oath of Nissa is so good. I was a naysayer when that card came out. Everybody was calling it the Green Brainstorm or Green Ponder, and I thought they were nuts, and I believe the hype now. It's a wonderful
card.
card.
It's that good, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Wedge drew a forest?
Yeah, he did. I'd play the Oath.
But did he not crack the wilds there? What am I missing?
He did not crack it.
Why did he crack the wilds?
He might be. Well, he has colorless from the Sanctums. That's a good question. I don't know why he did.
Yeah, he might have forgotten.
Yeah, and we're not quite used to having Evolving Wilds yet, I think.
Or having to play Evolving Wilds.
Right.
Well, it doesn't look like it's going to punish him too badly here, as he played the Oath. He found a tireless tracker. He gets to crack the Evolving Wilds now. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. He'll probably just let the professor have the Duskwatch Recruiter for a turn. Mm-hmm. Like, it seems better to get tireless tracker down.
Yeah.
Rather than use this turn with the Spatial Contortion. I don't know. I think, like, the way I look at it is he plays the tracker. He says go. If the professor wants to spend his turn paying 3 mana to activate the Duskwatch, I think Wedge is like, yeah, sure. Like, do
I'm
that.
Okay with that.
Yeah. And you know what? I think the professor does want to do that based on what we've seen. That guy is just a value fiend.
And it's also, Wedge has the ability to keep that thing untransformed. He can play a tracker if he wants to. He's got cards to make sure that thing doesn't flip. So he's fine.
Yeah. With that. I mean, if the professor just plays a land and says go, it will transform here.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, again, I just don't think Wedge is really that bummed out about that.
No.
So okay. So his land comes in tapped here, which is going to make it really tough. I don't think that the professor has a real play here at all.
No. Well, like I said, Wedge is in a really tricky spot. Like I said, the ramp deck has to walk that line of achieving its goal of ramping while still interacting with the board, and it's tricky to know when to get into which role. You know what I mean? Where to say to yourself, okay, now I have to be the control deck. Who's the beatdown? Now I'm the ramp deck, having to switch those roles and know when it's time to do that.
Totally, yeah. I mean, what I like doing here, and tell me what you think, I like just playing Explosive Vegetation. Yeah, you like that too? Just being like, whatever, like you have some 2/2s, congratulations.
Yeah. He can play Chandra next turn.
Yeah, he can play Chandra or World Breaker, right? 3, 6, 7, yeah.
And the professor's missing his 4th land to do Coco.
Currently, and it stays that way. Wow. So once the professor misses this land drop, Yeah, if I'm Wedge, I'm just like
I'm gonna
World
play the World
Breaker
Breaker. Yeah, keep him
for
off of that.
sure. Yeah, blow up probably the Vista. I would blow up. What
Yep,
would you
keep him off.
if you were on Wedge? Would you blow up the blue source or the white source of the
I would
Professor?
take the Vista because Avacyn can't be brought into play from Coco, so he's having to cast Avacyn, and no one wants to deal with Avacyn, and she costs double white, and so keeping him off of Avacyn, I think, is important.
All right, it looks like the Professor's going to get aggro here and just 2-for-1 himself to get the Tireless Tracker off the battlefield, but he is not going to like how this turns out.
Oh, Kozilek's return.
Hey, that's not bad. Although still, I think it's just break some worlds, right? Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think break the world, and then yeah, and if you know, Chandra is a great backup plan. I mean, he can't cast Avacyn. He can hard cast a tracker, but the tracker can die from Chandra, and so Wedge is.
Yeah, and even then he won't be able to hardcast it unless he finds an untapped mana source. And I'll
Yep.
tell you what, Aaron, after having played this Bant Company deck that the Professor's playing, it has a lot of tap mana. It's actually quite slow on mana. And that hurt the Professor here. You know, he could have
Yeah.
had that Tireless Tracker down already, but he had a tap land with
And
Canopy
Wedge has
that-
sacrificed his Sanctum to get another World Breaker, so he could possibly start chaining them, and nothing feels better than chaining World Breakers, let's be honest.
Agreed. And wow, check this out. So Wedge decides to blow up the blue mana source rather than the white. Like we wholeheartedly
Nice,
recommend it.
Jace.
It is fully rewarded when the Professor rips at Jace the next turn.
Man.
Now, I think that Declaration in Stone is going to punish Wedge, though, for not taking out that white mana source. Yeah, it does. That's a big deal. Like,
But
I think
it's not as big a deal as if Wedge had overcommitted and played both of them. Then he'd be in a much worse spot. But now he's got a nice versatile suite. He's got World Breaker, Atarka.
I think he's just going to
Okay.
play Chandra here
Yeah.
because he doesn't have 7 mana anymore.
Yeah.
It's pretty tempting just to play Chandra -2 and just pass, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Because he's just 1 mana away here from glory.
Mhm.
He also, kind of interesting. He also could just +1 and hit you for 6. Like it's really tough for this Bant deck to come back.
Yeah, I didn't
I
even
think it's a
of
little
that.
greedy, and I'd probably just -2 here and pass the turn. But
Oh, no.
yeah,
Oh no.
going upstairs. Wedge
Wedge
is not
is like,
having it.
I came to play.
Yes, 6 you. Your move. I love it. I think that's awesome.
Oh, this hand. Professor's missed 2 land drops, I believe.
Oh yeah, he's dead. We're gonna get a game 3 here for sure.
Yeah. And Wedge has so many avenues. He can Spatial Contortion the Recruiter. He can Kozilek's Return. He can, Atarka it. There's just, Wedge has answers for most things. It's yeah. Oh, that's unfortunate.
Chandra's gonna take a hit of 2 loyalty, but else nothing.
That's fine.
Okay, well, this gets kind of interesting. Wedge has missed a couple of land drops. Once he finds one, it's going to be absurd.
I love that he's at 6 and we're saying he's missed land drops.
Yeah.
Poor
Nice
guy.
deck, yeah.
Right? When you look at the Professor's 2, and Wedge is going to get 2 more.
Yeah, and then he should just Spatial Contortion and then whack him for 6, and then
Oh,
there's
yeah.
no way the Professor can come back from that.
Yeah. And see, this is good. Like we talked about being able to shift gears, saying, I'm now the beatdown deck. I'm now not the ramp. I think he's doing a good job of that. We talked about what would we do if we were playing with Chandra, and we were like, we really wouldn't attack, but Wedge is identifying, I need to attack him.
Yeah, I think either way is fine. Like, I think you could flip a coin in that spot and probably come out the winner. Bzzz. He's actually opened up the door here, though, to take a good hit of damage. I think Dromica's command would save. Yes, this is actually a misstep here from Wedge. He
Well-
decided to wait until upkeep, but now Dromica's command is going to actually let the Krullenhorde Howler kill Chandra.
Yeah.
Which is, I don't know. It's not the end of the world, but it's not good news,
No.
for Wedge, because now it's a 7-1, and he gets to just rumble. So I think Wedge probably, there are definitely times when you want to cast an instant like that on your opponent's upkeep. That does pop up, somewhat frequently.
Although I have to
Very-
say, if I were Wedge and the professor killed my Chandra, I would just play World Breaker and take another land. Like I'm
yeah, I
pretty
mean, he's
petty.
going to do that either way
Yeah,
or whatever. It looks like he's going to go for Dragon Lord Atarka. It doesn't really
yeah.
matter, but
I'd want revenge.
you just got to be careful, though. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want to open up the door when you're this far ahead to falling behind by losing your Planeswalker, though I don't think it'll matter here at all.
Yeah, but
Hello,
I
Dragon
think I
Lord
think closing the
Atarka.
door and just taking all of his lands feels really good too.
Yeah.
And even if he could bounce a Tarka, it's like, okay, I'll do another 5 damage. I'm fine with that. Like, oh, and he can't even cast the Reflected Mage. That blue mana.
Yep. I mean, to be fair, if he would have taken the white mana out, it would have been the same scenario.
That tireless tracker looks
it turned
so
out.
powerless. Just,
Yeah. Well, we're gonna get a game 3 here because Dragon Lord Atarka, she hits pretty hard, and
she flies
Professor's
over.
about to take 8 to the head here. So this has been sweet.
yeah. Yeah, Wedge played that, aside from the Chandra thing, he did what you were supposed to do.
I can feel the hatred here. You know, the YouTube fight is real. I mean, this is getting ugly.
Oh, yeah.
By the way, I think the kind of cool part too is that both decks really got to do what they wanted to do. The Professor in game 1 and Wedge in game 2. So we kind of got to see, these things show. We got to see them kind of show off what these decks are capable of. We saw Ulamog and all types of crazy stuff. But I am really curious to see now who wins at the end here, because that wasn't much of a game, right? The Professor started off by getting a little bit behind on mana, and then Wedge kind of pushed him over, with the World Breaker and made sure that he didn't find his mana.
Yeah. I'm not sure I would change much here. The Warping Whales on Wedge's side aren't very good here. Nissa's Renewal is not swell. I'm not really sure about the Tireless Trackers. Like, they just...
For Wedge, you mean?
For Wedge, yeah.
Yeah, they didn't impress me. Let's say that. I like I like Dragon Lord Atarka. That's the card that I was hoping that Wedge would bring in, but I think he didn't. I just feels like Dragon Lord Atarka is another good ramp target that can help you stabilize your board, where sometimes some of the other ones don't, and you got to like World Breaker. I'd rather play Atarka against this deck in a lot of scenarios because it'll kill a creature or sometimes 2 creatures and put up a huge one. So I don't know.
No, you're right.
So we'll see.
So it looks like the Professor's considering negate.
Oh yeah, I think he should definitely bring in negate. I actually thought he did in the last game, but it looks like he didn't. The negates I think would be very good.
Yeah, because it keeps Wedge off of his ramp spells.
Right.
I don't like Tragic Arrogance here. Dromoka doesn't seem that great. Taking out the Bounding Crest, taking out the Odritized Command is interesting. Well,
yeah, I think I'd probably keep that in as well. Like when your opponent's big payoffs, if they do get the ramp going, are creatures, it makes sense to be able to counter those sometimes.
Well, countering a World Breaker, that exile triggers on cast, so he'd still get the exile
it is
trigger.
pretty annoying. Yeah, but
Counters
still, it counters a target, and it does. I mean, the World Breaker still kind of kicks the crap out of you too. It's big. All right, is this a keep for Wedge? No.
Is there a forest?
No.
Oh. If it was a forest, I'd keep it.
Professor's got 2 forests, a Vista, a Collected Company. Oh my God, that's a nice draw for the Professor. He's also got a Dustspot Recruiter and a Dromoka's Command. So
I would keep this if I were Wedge. It's not great, but
we call that a sneep. You like this hand though for Wedge? Yeah, that's.
I do. He can cast he's going to get to Nissa's Pilgrimage. He can Spatial Contortion something. He'll be okay.
Alrighty.
It's so nice to not have to do the fetch at end of turn nonsense anymore. Where you're just like, I'm going to crack. It's tapped anyways. No secrets. Just
F6 value.
Right.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Endless One.
Come on, Wedge. Come on, buddy. Come on, Wedge Daddy. Don't let me down.
All right, so Dusk Recruiter.
Looks like the Professor's hand's a little cut off there, but there is a Collected Company I can see on the left. Whoop, there it is.
You said whoop, there it is.
Yeah, that didn't.
Bless your heart.
I'm just going to own it. I thought you knew.
I'm not mad. I'm not mad.
Oh, man.
Kill it.
All right.
It's going to kill the recruiter.
Bzz, recruiter
Have
down.
you seen the F&M promo art for that? The
For
spatial
what?
contortion?
Yes.
It's
It looks
everything.
nice. Yeah. I'm a
Everything.
fan.
Yeah.
All right. All right. So this is coming around.
Yeah. He can
And
pilgrimage
the
on
professor's
time.
actually kind of out of gasoline here, too. He's just shipping the turn back.
Yeah.
That's
Bricking
gonna-
here on company would be really unfortunate.
Yeah, the next turn for sure. Ooh.
Kozilek's return.
This is getting interesting. This is actually going to end up being a real game here because this Nissus Pilgrimage is going to put Wedge cleanly ahead on mana, and he's got a nice big play to make with an Endless one next turn if he doesn't want to play the Kozilek's return. So this is getting interesting.
Well, he needs a mountain to do the return, and Nissus Pilgrimage unfortunately only gives you forest, so he would need to find a mountain. Tireless
Okay.
Tracker's not bad.
Yeah, I think I would just play that if I were
Yeah, it's Spanish
Wedge.
Tracker.
Yeah, play a land. You get to crack the clue right now. This is huge, though, Aaron.
Yes.
This collected company from the professor is probably going to dictate whether he's able to win this game or not.
Yeah, I agree.
Like what he hits with it.
All right, let's see what he gets in the Coco Lottery.
Spin the wheel.
What do we got? What do we got? Oh, we can't see it.
I see something clickable. He's got a Krasis. We know that. There's also a tracker and a recruiter. So, so he hit. Sure. That counts. I mean, you know, like, I guess whiffing would have been, you know, kind of the disaster scenario for him there, but this is probably fine.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Oh,
Ooh.
Reflector Mage.
Well, this is interesting. Still no red mana here for Wedge. Let's see here. Yeah,
Well,
but it does. Go ahead.
The problem is now the Reflector Mage is a three toughness, so the return blanks against it. The tracker's can get bigger, so the Kozilek's return is useless against much of the Professor's board now, and he doesn't have a big Eldrazi unless he wants to wait for the Endless one to get it back from the graveyard. So this could be bad.
You are correct, and here comes Reflector Mage to send a Tireless Tracker back.
Sending it to bed.
This is a big swing. Wouldn't be surprised if we saw the professor just snap off this clue and just get in there for 6. Oh, yeah.
Oof.
He loves the clues.
Oh, man. See, I thought he was going to, like, maybe destroy the... Oh, Jermoko's command's not artifacts. I'm sorry. That's Kolagon's command, I was going to say.
Yeah. Plus, I mean, Wedge can just sack the clue in response anyway, so he's going to get his value. He will not be denied. And he drew another copy of Tireless Tracker, which he cannot cast this turn. Awkward.
He also doesn't have a red for the Kozilek's return, so like he could return and then follow it up with a World Breaker and get the big 5.
He's trying. Wedge, no. No, Wedge, no. He's like, what's going on with Magic Online? I can't cast my Tireless Tracker. Now he's remembered.
Oof.
Well, next turn,
Yeah.
he can cast World Breaker, so it's just going to have to be a big fat endless one for this turn.
Yeah.
Which, like, I suppose isn't too bad.
Yeah, I mean, you won't turn it down, but when you see what else is in your hand, though, you're just like one mountain, you know, 1 2-color deck. Come on.
Well, this actually worked out pretty well, though, for Wedge. Because it doesn't look like the professor is going to be able to get through this turn.
No.
I mean, he could if he wanted to get, like, super aggressive. He could crack this clue and then fight the tracker.
He could also get the Jace down and then flip it next turn and do Collected Company again from the graveyard.
That does seem a little better. I'm just, like, if the professor really wants to get damage through right now, he technically could, but I agree with you. So what he could do is he could fight Dromoka's command, Tireless Tracker, put a counter on it, and then he could play the Jace after that. He's just going to play Collected Company that he drew off the thing and try to hit a Reflector Mage here. Oh, he did! Oh, my God.
Oh, no.
The professor. Wow. And wow, he also hit a bounding crisis. So that endless one was not blocking this turn. I will tell you that.
No.
Aaron,
Marshall.
that could have been game. that could have been it. That could have been the nail in Wedge's coffin here, because he's taking a big hit here. He's taking 9 damage and falling down to 5. And his best play next turn is probably going to be to play 2 tireless trackers just to try to block something.
Well, and then there's 5 creatures on the board, so
Yeah, he's dead.
And he has no red. He doesn't even have 1 red, much less 2. Oh,
no, he's just
girl.
dead. No, he's dead.
Oof.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a start.
Okay.
Game. Endless one for 1. Can't replay it. Oh, he tried again. You know what, Wedge? I admire you, buddy. Don't take no for an answer, at least the first time.
Right.
And then acquiesce, unfortunately. So
At least he's consistent.
He is. And the professor has lethal on the battlefield here. And all he has to do is just do the old right-click attack all, and that'll be game here.
Oh.
That was a good match, though. Like, I don't
Indeed.
know. I feel a little bad for Wedge because he didn't find any red mana in this game, which maybe would have helped things out. Like, if he had double red and was able to play Chandra this last turn, it would have been devastating. I mean, he would have literally wiped Professor's board. But
I mean, even 1 red, he could have played the return at end of turn. Okay, great, it doesn't do much, but then you followed up the World Breaker, and that would have wiped his board.
Totally. In the meantime, this is just a thumping from the Professor. He's got the school books out. He's pointing at the chalkboard.
Wedge is having to write on the chalkboard over and over again, I will not cast creatures after Reflector Mage. Over and over.
Jeez, Professor, you are savage. He literally had lethal on the table, and he's like, no. I will attack for -11 damage, and that does it. The Professor wins the first match of the Community Super League. Aaron, great job in the booth. That was your first time doing round-by-round coverage, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Nice work. You're a natural.
Thank you. I had someone good to you were good to bounce off of.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so that's going to do it for the first round. We do have some messages, but when we come back, we're going to have round number 2 here from the Community Super League. Don't go anywhere.
Whether riding the bus or waiting for the Pro Tour Finals to begin, Magic Duels is a great way to hone your skills and try new strategies. Featuring hundreds of earnable cards from Magic's latest sets and virtually unlimited AI and online opponents, start playing Magic Duels free today on iPhone, iPad, Xbox One, and Steam.